everybody and welcome to my channel. This is Leslie. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today I'm doing something with my Felicity-jane products, and as you know, I have a lot of Felicity-jane, and I decided I am going to be scrapping the baby shower my friends threw me for Lucy, and I am going to scrap it with my Felicity-jane because the colors are so soft and feminine, so I thought that this would be perfect for that. And that is me sitting in my very pregnant glory photo of me. It was just a couple of weeks before I had Lucy, and I've got, I think it's the Brook collection. I use most of the, well, some of the papers from the Brook collection in this, for this layout. And you'll see there I've got the clouds paper, and I'm just whiting out some of that area with some white acrylic paint, and I'm using my fingers. I couldn't find a paintbrush, so why not use the fingers, right? So I like to leave a little tiny white border around my photos, just so that the photos have some differentiation from the background. And I'm also going to be using some tissue paper behind my photo, and this is just to add some interest, some texture, and also just some softness behind my photo. Just that extra layer, I feel, gives it a very airy, soft feel, and I love the fact that you can also see through the paper, or the tissue paper in any case. So I'm going to be just very messily layering that. I'm not going to be too concerned about the jagged and ragged edges of the tissue paper. So you see here that I am taking out the die cuts, and I'm just randomly, at the moment I'm just randomly placing them wherever I think that they would fit, and this is going to change quite dramatically, I have to say. But yeah, as I take out all my little die cuts there that I think I'd be able to use, I just sort of, you know, my first instinct, place them where I think they could go. So I thought to myself, I don't like the whole background paper to be that cloud paper, so I need to bring in some more texture. So if you turn around the background paper, this scalloped black print is on the back of that. So I rip it up and I use the background, or the back side of that paper, as a layer behind it. And I love the way that both of these, or that this paper ripped. There's some white in the rips that I really like, that adds a lot of interest. And you'll see there, I'm just going to be layering a paper strip behind that, that black and white paper that is ripped there. And at the beginning of the video, I had all the paper strips from this kit lined up, and I had, the original idea was for me to use the paper strips, all the beautiful paper strips. And then obviously it took a different turn. I saw the cloud paper, and then I was just, no, I need to use the cloud paper. So I might be doing another layout soon with the strips, and I think that's going to, the idea that I have, I think will look really nicely. So I'm going to be using some packaging here, and that is the packaging from the little chipboard flare. It's just the little brad that keeps the package shut, and I tied those two little die cuts to that flare, to that little brad. And I do outline it with my Sharpie, just so that it stands out a bit more. I felt that it was a bit lost. I don't end up using it. I don't end up using any of these pieces that are on there at the moment. I go a different route in the end. I wanted to do some stamping, so I completely veer away from that. So I do want to use a doily, because this is a layout about, this is a baby shower for a girl, and for my girl, and it's very feminine and it's very soft. So I do cut that doily in half and just pop the edges, or the ends, on each side of my photo. So I really like the fact that Felicity-jane has these pops of black, and that's what they are famous for, is their incorporation of the very stark black with the beautiful fun colors that they always have in their kits. So I'm going to be making use of that and do some stamping on this background that I whited out with the acrylic paint. And the first or the only stamping set I'm going to be using is also from Brooke, the Brooke kit. And I'm just going to be stamping those clouds just to mimic some of the clouds of the background. And then that little word phrase says you can do this. And in the end you don't really see it because the tissue paper goes over it, but I know it's there. And yeah, my pregnancy with Lucy was a very, very difficult pregnancy, and I had quite a few challenges and just also emotional challenges in the pregnancy. So, and that just sort of, you know, that you can do this is very, you know, if I could go back in time and tell my pregnant self, you can do this, it's going to be okay, you'll be fine, everything's going to turn out fine, you know, I would. But at that moment, when you're in that moment, it feels like nothing will ever, the pregnancy is never going to end. So you saw that I drew something at the bottom of my photo, and that's just an XO and an XO, and that's just another little bit of encouragement that I wanted to give myself there. I am going to be backing up my photo on some foam adhesive, and the foam adhesive went out from behind the photo, so it sort of stuck out and you could see the pink through the tissue paper. So I just cut a little bit off there. And as I'm going to be putting down my photo now, I noticed that the little black dots aren't dry yet. So I am just going to be fetching some tissue paper and drying those little dots a little bit, just to soak up the extra liquid that's in there. Otherwise it takes a little bit to dry. And also because I've put down the acrylic paint, the surface is quite hard and it's not very porous, so it's not going to dry as quickly as it would if I just added it to plain paper, because of that acrylic paint. So I just checking there if everything's straight, but I really wanted to use some of these little word prompts, the worth it and the true story and that, but then I ended up going with this little circle, and it just says one day at a time, and that's going to be my title in the end. And literally my pregnancy with Lucy was one day at a time. I only focused on that day and to just get through the day. And I pull out those little chipboard flare as well, and I really wanted to make it work. So I do make one of them work, and it's that little white chipboard heart with a little black heart on it, and that makes the layouts in the end. I wanted to make more of them work, but because there's not a lot of stark bold black on this layout, I thought that if I added that, I would have had to add a lot more black to the layout to sort of balance it out. And I wanted to use some of those word strips, but none of them really spoke to me with this layout. So what did speak to me was these beautiful little puffy hearts and dots from, I don't know where they're from, I don't know, I can't remember from which. Let me just have a look. It's just the puffy shapes, the Essentials puffy shapes. So they worked perfectly, and I just scattered them around and sort of created a little bit of a diagonal aspect to this layout, and I just scattered them around, and it's very dainty, and they're very tiny, and they're doing the job quite nicely. I wanted to use that little banner actually, and I'm just going to be punching a hole straight in the paper and sticking the banner down and then tying it down with some pink twine. And I love that interactive effect that it gives. Sort of, you know, you can pull on that twine to pull the layout out of the page protector if you really wanted to. I wouldn't want to pull it out of the page protector, but it's just something extra at the top of the layout that just draws your eye. And also it draws your eye down diagonally, down to the photo, and then down to the right hand bottom of the photo. I found that I had these little flares as well. I'm not sure from which collection they come from or which kit they come from, but it says sparkle, and it's sort of a it's not an oxymoron, it's like ironic. I didn't feel like I was sparkling then, but it's sort of, anyway. I'm just going to be adding my little black wonky border with my Sharpie, and that's it for this layout. Bye.